Nvidia gets dumped. Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. So today we know what happened. We all heard the news. We want to take a look at why it happened, what happened with Nvidia stock and the stock market in general. What goes up must come down. So yesterday, Monday, the NASDAQ rose 522 points. Huge increase for one day. It was a big day yesterday. The Dow rose 381 points. S&P 500 rose over 100 points. So yesterday was a big positive day in the market, and Nvidia did quite well among all the other stocks. Big gains yesterday, but then, yesterday there was news, there were rumors that the end of the government shutdown was upon us, and that's kind of why investors were optimistic and bought a lot of stock yesterday. There was the expectation the end of the shutdown was imminent, but that kind of faded today. Concern about tech rose again. Concern about tech has been sort of a lingering, the belief in technology stocks has kind of gone up and down. There's a reason for that, and I'm going to explain why. But today, the NASDAQ dropped. It did not, yesterday it rose 522 points. Today it dropped. The Dow rose today, okay? So the NASDAQ has most of the technology stocks, and it dropped today. So the news today, Tuesday, November 11th, the news was SoftBank dumped their entire Nvidia stock position. This was billions of dollars sold off in one day. Nvidia is the most valuable company trading these days. Okay, in terms of stock, in terms of what the company is valued at, it's the most valued, highly valued company around today. And yet SoftBank sold all of their stock. And we'd like to know why. Why did SoftBank dump Nvidia today? They sold all their Nvidia stock, not just a portion. That's kind of critical. Generally, when an entire position is sold, there's a belief behind that. There's some sort of conviction that holding it, even a portion of it, is not a good idea. Let's get rid of all of it, right? If you have a guest staying at your house, and they're causing problems, you generally do not say, why don't you come back every weekend, and we like to see you every weekend. You generally tell them, you've got to leave, and we don't want to see you, right? But SoftBank dumped their entire position, and that sort of makes a statement, okay? And SoftBank claimed, the reason they sold everything, not just a portion, but everything, is they wanted to buy a different AI stock. So they're not soured on artificial intelligence, but they wanted to buy a different AI stock, and they said OpenAI. And I just said, wow, because it's one thing to say we're selling out the most valuable company that's artificial intelligence based, right? Because we want to diversify what we have. We want to take that cash after selling and buy a bunch of different stocks. Instead, they said, no, we're staying with artificial intelligence. We're just buying a different artificial intelligence company. So SoftBank was really making a statement, okay? And there's a history behind this kind of behavior from SoftBank that I will get to, okay? So semiconductors in general, just so you guys know, semiconductor segment or sector, that part of the stock market, that part of high technology tends to be volatile, cyclical. Nvidia is a computer chip company. Nvidia makes computer chips. They happen to make the most in-demand computer chips on the planet right now. The semiconductor, computer chips are semiconductors. Semiconductor segment or sector is volatile, up and down. And it's commoditized partially. It's partially a commoditized type of product. Memory chips, logic chips, part of that business is commoditized. It's sort of like in fast food, certain things are a commodity. French fries are sort of a commodity. All the fast food companies pretty much know how to make decent French fries, so that's kind of a commodity. It's not really a differentiator if you're trying to sell something. So part of the semiconductor industry is commoditized, but artificial intelligence chips are getting a lot of scrutiny and a lot of speculation, investing speculation, because they are a selling point, all right? Because the adoption rate of artificial intelligence has skyrocketed, all right? The lifespan of artificial intelligence. How long do people think artificial intelligence has been around? This feeds into why Nvidia is such a highly valued company. how long do most people think that artificial intelligence has been around? If you were to ask the person on the street, they might say, okay, ChatGPT came out in November of 2022, so artificial intelligence is 3 years old. A lot of people would say that. But the reality is, machine learning and artificial intelligence are decades old. They've been around a long time, okay? So investors are sort of wondering, with AI stocks like Nvidia, is this real or hype? And by investors, I mean the unwashed masses. I'm not talking about people who are highly technically astute. They come from a technology background. I'm not talking about that kind of investor. I'm talking about the average investor who just heard, okay, this is a hot sector. This might be an area to get into, artificial intelligence. But they're sort of wondering, is it real or is it hype? Because ChatGPT, in a lot of people's minds, artificial intelligence is 3 years old. It started with ChatGPT, November 2022. So because of that relatively short period when artificial intelligence got into people's mind share, a lot of investors are not quite sure if artificial intelligence is real or hype. So there's a lot of cyclicality right now, a lot of belief and then disbelief in artificial intelligence stock. That's one of the main reasons, because a lot of investors, they see the ChatGPT, which was a user-friendly front end put on artificial intelligence. A lot of users think that artificial intelligence is new. Machine learning and artificial intelligence are not new. Nvidia has been in this business for a long time, okay? When a user-friendly front end was bolted on the internet in the mid-1990s, right? The internet had been around at that point. In the mid-1990s, the internet had been around for decades, and very few people knew about it. But as soon as someone bolted on a user-friendly front end, the internet browser, Netscape, in the mid-90s, the internet took off. So this is partly why, the person who operates SoftBank is technically astute, but a lot of investors are not. So you sort of wonder why they're selling all their Nvidia, but sticking with artificial intelligence. There's nothing about Nvidia necessarily that makes you want to write them off as a viable company. It's the most valuable company. It's been scrutinized by so many people. It's the most valuable company. That's not by chance. So this is a kind of an odd position. I couldn't fit everything on the board here. There's a history to this too, from this company, SoftBank. There's a history here. In 2019, SoftBank, back in 2019, they held a position in Nvidia. In 2019, they dumped all of it. They sold all of their Nvidia stock in 2019. And afterwards, they started buying it again. And then today, they dumped it all again. Okay, that's sort of the history of SoftBank buying, then dumping Nvidia. But check this out. In 2019, SoftBank sold all their Nvidia holdings, not a portion. They did the same thing that happened today. They sold everything in 2019 for $3.6 billion. Nvidia then rose a lot. And if SoftBank had not made this mistake in 2019, SoftBank, the position they held, would have been worth $150 billion. So the $3.6 billion they sold in 2019, that stock that they sold became worth $150 billion in short order as Nvidia took off. So in SoftBank's selling of Nvidia, and again, they did the same thing today. They didn't just sell a portion, they dumped all of it to get into another AI stock. So they like the AI sector. So this, SoftBank might be a sign of malinvestment. They walked away from a gain of over $145 billion gain that they lost. They did not take advantage of. In 2019, they dumped all their Nvidia. It rose $150 billion. They bought it again. Today, they dumped it again. So, is OpenAI a good replacement for Nvidia stock? There are opinions about that. There's scrutiny about that right now. A lot of large investors have invested in OpenAI. So that company is being scrutinized. So I'm not sure if, so in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think SoftBank is a sign of malinvestment. I believe the fact that they dumped all their Nvidia, I think that could have been a mistake, okay? Because Nvidia did not, we're not, because who came out with ChatGPT? OpenAI, right? Not Nvidia, right? Okay, but which one of these is the most valuable company? It's not OpenAI. It's not the company that came out with ChatGPT. It's Nvidia. So you could say to yourself, which of these two companies, OpenAI and Nvidia, are are being led better, are being operated better. It's clearly Nvidia is better led, a better led company. They've been around a lot longer. The leadership, the top guy, Jensen Huang, has been at Nvidia for a very long time, since the beginning. So I think SoftBank is a sign, a signal of improper malinvestment, malinvestment, whatever you want to call it. And this might be a buying signal for Nvidia. Not sure. And just to let you know, I do not buy individual stocks. I would not buy Nvidia stock. You know, if you're interested in participating in the growth of AI, you can buy an exchange-traded fund that focuses on artificial intelligence, or you could buy the QQQ NASDAQ top 100 stocks, or you could buy the S&P 500 SPY, that ETF. If you do buy individual stocks, you know, I don't have any recommendations to make, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving some commentary, some background about mistakes that SoftBank has made in the past. They did it again today, in my opinion. This was a mistake. I think dumping all of it. You know, if you were a cautious investor, you might say, let's trim the position by 25% or half. You don't dump the entire thing. I don't get this. If they were dumping the entire position to invest in a broad array of diversified stocks, maybe. But they claim that they wanted to buy different AI stock, OpenAI in this case. So we'll see how that plays out. I could be wrong. If you have any questions about this, please post in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And I really want to thank everyone for watching. Have a great day.